A wee bit better. A wee bit better. It is 7:26 right now. Welcome back to the program. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Party Scoopers. We have our strategist in the studio with us. Jeff Lake is here. Also, Kevin Hall, as we have a Republican and a Democrat going head-to-head here. So what is the topic today, Jeff?
Well, the primary's over. Thank goodness.
Yes.
For everyone except the Republicans in the 3rd District who still have to sort out what's going on at the convention. But, you know, the general elections kicked off in both the governor's race and in the Senate race.
Well, they didn't waste any time starting the ad campaign, did they, for either party?
No, I think that's right. And I think, unfortunately for our viewers, we're going to see ads all summer. We're going to see them all fall. I think we're now to the point.
Maybe not here, but you're going to see ads all over the place. So anyway.
No, I think you will. But you know, obviously in the governor's race, the governor's up with 2 different ads. He's got a positive ad talking about what's been going on in the state of Iowa.
That is very well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of numbers and statistics about what's been happening. I think some of them are fudged a little bit, but you know, Iowa does have a pretty good story to tell. And then at the same time, that Kevin and others are sort of dismissing Jack Hatch's chances. The governor's campaign is attacking Jack Hatch. And it's kind of a funny attack for a Republican governor because they're attacking Jack Hatch for being a business person. And they're saying, oh, he's a developer. Well, I thought Republicans were sort of pro-development and pro-growth and pro-business. So that's been an interesting event that's happened in the governor's race. And then in the Senate race, Congressman Braley started his first ad of the general election talking about the difference between Joni Ernst's clever ads and her record in the Iowa Senate, because she says she's really tough at cutting pork. But in fact, as a state senator for the last 4 years, she never sponsored one bill that actually cut spending. And so it's been an interesting start, I think, to the general election.
Well, Gazette Media out of Cedar Rapids has already ruled that the Bruce Braley ad is mostly false. I know, big shock that Bruce Braley was lying to us. Kind of has a habit of doing that. The fact is, Ernst has sponsored bills that cut spending, including a freeze on state hiring.
Okay,
so the ad has already been ruled mostly false.
Okay, that's fine.
It's immediately an attack ad. Bruce Braley goes negative the day after Joni Ernst is elected. It shows
she went negative that night in her acceptance speech.
Yeah, she attacked him that night. Now, okay, let's. You made your point about mostly false. Let's talk about a hiring freeze. Isn't that maintaining the status quo? A hiring freeze?
It's keeping spending down.
No. We said she didn't propose a bill to make a cut. She said in her entire primary campaign, she's good at cutting pork. She knows how to do it. She'll make them squeal. Mm-hmm. All right, so is a freeze a cut, or is a freeze the status quo?
A freeze keeps spending the way it is. But here's the difference.
All right, what's her other bill?
Here's the difference, though. Here in the state of Iowa, we have a governor that's responsible on spending. We don't spend more money than we take in, unlike Barack Obama's federal government. We don't borrow money like Chet Culver does. We're not, borrowing money from China and, mortgaging our kids' futures. Putting the federal debt, $50,000 for every kid born today is born with $50,000 of debt because of federal government spending. Spending in the federal government is out of control. It's different here in the state of Iowa because we have a responsible governor who knows how to budget, doesn't borrow, doesn't bond, doesn't spend one-time money on ongoing expenses. So it's a big difference between,
well, Kevin, we have a law
saying you're going to cut money here and cutting money in the federal government. Big difference. Kevin, and here you have to cut money in the federal budget because it's out of control.
Kevin, we have a law on the books that says the state is not allowed to spend more than 99% of our expected revenue.
That is correct, but Democrats,
it's not the decision
want
governor
to spend the rainy day funds. The Republicans and Democrats look at it a different way. Republicans don't spend more than we take in. Democrats want to spend all the money we take in and then raid all the rainy day funds and spend that money as well. Just look at their budgets the last 3 years. They've tried to do that, and thankfully we have a Republican-controlled House and a Republican governor that have prevented the Senate Democrats from doing that.
Well, we started talking about Joni Ernst's record, and so one of the things that she said to prove our charge was false is that she sponsored a constitutional amendment to make sure that Iowa only spends 99% of its revenues. Well, guess what? This law has been on the books since 1992. So if you take a current law that's been on the books for 22 years and you put it into the Constitution of Iowa, is that a budget cut?
As I said, Senate Democrats don't follow that. They want to spend more than we take in. They want to raid the rainy day funds. They don't care about budget surpluses. They're like, oh, you've got money left over in a savings account? Well, let's spend all of that.
Right. So
the ad has been ruled mostly false. So once again, we have Bruce Braley being dishonest with Iowans.
Perfect. Mostly false. Tell me where she's sponsored anything that's going to cut spending.
There were other bills in there, as the Gazette media had talked about.
Yeah. Oh, I got one. They said she wanted to means test, or not means test, she wanted to drug test welfare recipients. And they said, well, the intention of drug testing welfare recipients is to cut spending. Well, I don't know what the intention is. I guess I thought the intention would be to make sure that no one on welfare is using drugs. But there are 2 states that have done...
It's to eliminate fraud and waste, as some of her other proposals have done.
So they tried this in Florida and Missouri. And in Florida and Missouri, they found that 2% of the people that they tested were actually positive for drugs, and that the testing, the actual testing, cost more than the savings. So that bill was actually a spending bill, not a cost savings bill. So where is the bill that she supported that cut spending? Because we haven't found one yet.
Well, as I mentioned, we have a responsible governor here that handles the budget, and the spending isn't out of control like it is in the federal government. Let's go back to your assertions about the attack ad on Jack Hatch, which is the Republican Governors Association. It's not a Governor Branstad.
So we don't have an example of her trying to cut spending. Is that
she has sponsored legislation that would keep spending under control in Iowa?
Right, but she said she's a cutter, a pork cutter.
She said she would go to Congress and do that, where we need to cut spending because the spending from your buddy Barack Obama is out of control.
Right.
You know,
Thank you. I'm glad you agree on that.
I am.
I'm glad you agree.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Okay.
Glad to hear it.
So your assertion that the ad on Jack Hatch are attacking him for being a businessman, no, they're criticizing him because this pompous, arrogant hypocrite who talks about transparency in government will not release his tax forms. Governor Branstad has released his tax forms for 25 years. Jack Hatch's campaign manager says, yes, we're going to release all of our tax forms for the past 5 years, and then they come back later that day and say, we're just going to give you last year's. What is Jack Hatch hiding? I'll tell you what he's hiding. He's hiding the fact that he's gotten rich by manipulating tax loopholes and all kinds of tax cuts. He's critical of the governor when he wants to give a tax break to a company to come into Iowa that will create jobs, but he has no criticism when he manipulates the tax system to enrich himself on the backs of Iowa taxpayers.
So weren't Republicans advocates of historic tax credits and all of the developer tax credits that you're chiding?
Republicans are all for giving tax, or all for tax cuts, but we want to know why won't he release his tax records? What is he hiding in there, Jeff?
Well, but you just said he's making all this money by manipulating.
Well, yeah, he is. He has gotten very rich through tax cuts, through tax loopholes, and we don't know what else because we don't know what else is in there.
But
obviously he's hiding something.
But isn't the idea of the Republicans who support those kinds of tax incentives to create business opportunities so that people can make money? I thought that was the idea.
We're for tax cuts so people can keep more of their own money. That's what Republicans are for. We're not for picking winners and losers. Jack Hatch, I mean, what is he hiding in there? We still don't know. And the ad also talks about how he is for eminent domain, where the government can go in and seize private property for personal development. He voted for a bill in favor of that.
So when they use eminent domain to cite the Keystone Pipeline, you'll oppose that?
I don't think the government should seize personal property unless it's for something that we are in dire need of.
So, yeah, interesting. Hey, I just have one thing I wanted to mention. We have 2 special viewers today.
Oh!
We don't have a lot of viewers, I don't think, from Australia.
Oh, okay, sure.
But my sister and brother-in-law are here visiting, and they're up in Iowa Falls with my sister and her husband, and they're watching this morning. So.
Really? Well, good day. Good day, everybody. He goes, hopefully at the top of the morning to you. Good day. But you want to come over here, we'll take you over to the Animal Rescue League. You can hang out with one of your brethren, Mick, over at the Rescue League. He's from Australia, too.
Dingo?
Huh? He's a dingo. He was a baby dingo, but he's a really cool guy. So if they ever come down, we can take him over there and give him a tour of the Rescue League.
Do we have any more details of what's happening with the 3rd District, of when that's eventually coming down?
It will be Saturday, June 21st in Urbandale at Des Moines Christian School.
Okay.
Originally, they were going to try to have it in Creston, and 2 venues fell apart there. So basically what we have, because nobody achieved 35%, so it's going to convention. We have 6 candidates that were all on the ballot, and they'll be vying for it. I think the top 4 finishers, which Brad Zahn was a top finisher, and then you had Robert Kramer, Matt Schultz, and Monty Shaw in that order. I think any of those 4 could win this convention battle. It's really wide open.
And it's happening where again?
It'll be not this Saturday. This Saturday we have the Republican State Convention, which is going to be interesting as well, but next Saturday, the 21st.
Okay, and a location for that?
Des Moines Christian School.
Des Moines Christian School, okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. A good discussion, you guys. And who are the people watching from Australia?
Jim and Judy.
Jim and Judy. Jeff and I are going to go throw a shrimp on the barbie. Good day.